I think, Mr. Speaker, clearly, if there were circumstances in which I felt it was impossible for the government to go on and discharge the mandate that we've been given, or if I felt, for instance, that we were being frustrated in our desire to support the Ukrainian people, or over some major point, then I would. But frankly, Mr. Speaker, the job of a Prime Minister in difficult circumstances when he's been handed a colossal mandate is to keep going, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yesterday, in an attempt.
So, that was Boris Johnson. Apparently some funny stuff has been happening in the UK government. You know, I'm kind of getting appraised of it, like, right now. By right now, I mean 5 minutes ago. I don't pay that much attention to politics outside the United States, in large part because I'm lazy, and also because I inherit latent American chauvinism from my forefathers, God bless them. And also because America is crumbling and it feels kind of difficult to look elsewhere, and also because et cetera, et cetera. But, this was kind of weird, you know? Boris Johnson has gotten into scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal ever since he became PM. And, you know, there are plenty of videos out there. I think even John Oliver did a piece in it about how he gets through it constantly by looking like this, you know, sort of jokesy, affable goofster boy who you can't ever take seriously. What I just opened with there, the beginning video, was him explaining to Parliament, and moreover the Tories, that he wasn't going to step down in spite of quite a lot of people wanting him to step down. So why did he want to step down? Well, apparently, and it's the Chris Pincher scandal. And yes, his last name is Pincher, which is why this is only going to be that much funnier. So apparently, a little while ago, Pincher was promoted by Boris Johnson to be Deputy Chief Whip in the House of Commons. Deputy Chief Whip. Like Indiana Jones. Apparently that's a position in their government. It's about keeping a party's political messaging and agenda in line, you know, I guess. Like they're a whip, like they're whoosh, like the Taskmaster. I don't know. Anyway, Pincher resigned last week because the British press widely reported that he had allegedly tried to grope several men while intoxicated at a bar. I wonder if the whole, like, gay people are sexual predators routine comes from conservatives, because all conservative politicians are gay and sexual predators. I don't know. Hard to say. Pincher wrote in a letter to Johnson that he drank far too much and embarrassed myself and other people at a gathering. But that's not the full scandal. See, apparently Pincher's done this before, back in 2017 and in 2019. And so, I mean, my man, a bit of nominative determinism there, just cannot keep his hands off cute men's asses at the bar. And Boris Johnson hired him in spite of this. And when questioned about it, he said, "Oh, well, I didn't know that he was an ass pincher." And then Simon MacDonald, the former head of Britain's diplomatic service, published a letter on Twitter accusing the government of misleading the public, a highly unusual move for a British civil servant. Quote, "Mr. Johnson was briefed in person about the initiation and outcome of the investigation," end quote. So essentially, Boris Johnson hired a serial sexual harasser, lied about it when he sexually harassed or assaulted people again, and then it was found out for having been fully aware of the fact that this guy was a serial sexual assaulter. I know that compared to a lot of the stuff that goes down day to day in, like, American politics, this seems remarkably uninteresting, but apparently this has actually turned out to be a really big deal. There was actually a news site in England that was airing the parliamentary proceedings after this, with a live updating count of how many officials had resigned over the course of that event alone. And apparently over 30 people abandoned Boris Johnson's administration in like an incredibly short span of time. I'm trying to see if I can find the exact number. It might still be ongoing. There were two incredibly important people who left as well. Let me see. Michael Grove got fired, who was an economic post in the cabinet. Lawmakers resigned. Where were the two big lads? More than 30 government ministers or aides quit. Multiple Conservative Party lawmakers urged Mr. Johnson to resign, and he got a withering response in Parliament, where backbenchers, they're on the backbench, jeered by Boris as he left by a side door after a merciless grilling over his handling of the party's latest sex and bullying scandal. And that grilling is something we'll have to watch in a live stream, because I'm not doing that on my own. Yeah, so that's happened. I guess it's just difficult to parse this because, again, being not as familiar with UK politics, and I wouldn't pretend to be, over here in America, if you're a Republican and it's found out, for example, that you've engaged in child sex trafficking, nothing happens to you and nobody talks about it in your own party. A la, oh God, how am I forgetting his name? You all know who I'm talking about. He's the Republican congressman who participated in the sex trafficking of a child. Oh God, why can I not remember? Basically, half of our ruling elite are like personal buddies with Epstein, or were at least. So the idea of, people legitimately turning on their own party lead over something like this, something tells me that there are a lot of people in the Conservative Party who are kind of fed up with Boris Johnson anyway, and this is just the latest, like, excuse to justify their absence, or their leaving. Again, I can't really say. I'm not an expert in UK politics. It is tremendously funny, though, that's what's going on. That's the basic gist of it. Yeah. It's just, they might call for a vote of no confidence, but I think they'd have to change a rule to do that or something. Like the time might not be ripe. Most of like UK politics, it's the rules are so old, like they have a party whip, they have backbenchers. I don't know what any of this shit means. Let's see. Mr. Johnson's dismissal of Mr. Grove was particularly charged since in 2016, Mr. Grove had derailed Johnson's first bid for the Tory party leadership. Two senior cabinet ministers abruptly resigned, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, and the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid. The trigger was Mr. Johnson's handling of a case involving Chris Pincher. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of big lads left. Yeah, well, either way, I guess the main message that I want to deliver in this video is that you guys should remind me to watch the Parliament ribbing of Boris Johnson when I'm back on stream and not feeling sick, because that'll probably be good content. I have to say, I do like their Parliament more than our House, because the room looks like shit. Like, it looks like a regular courtroom, except with all the benches have been turned inward from the outer ring, and there's less floor space. I mean, sorry, this is very stupid. House of Representatives interior. You got to appreciate the fact, as terrible as our country is, we have a proper House of Commons. Why are these photos all low res? Look at that. Now that's a proper a legislator right there. You've got the upper benches where the guests can sit and throw bits of, like, carnival food. You've got all this. You've got the American flag and the everything. Looks nice and properly fascist. Perfect for the seat of power, or one of the seats of power in an American institution. And then you have their parliament, and look at them. They're all shoulder to shoulder. It looks so uncomfortable. Also, they get to boo. You can, like, shout at people in the House of Commons. Isn't that great? I think this is better, you see. This truly feels like a House of the Commons, But I think they should get rid of the MPs, and I think they should just have random people in here, and Boris Johnson should just say stuff right here, and people can throw trash or, like, defecate and throw into their hand and throw poop at him. And I think that would be good. I don't know if that would be better or worse than the existing, parliamentary system, but I do think that is what it should be. And I would prefer that to any other system legislatively, if they could do that. Oh, and Boris Johnson would would have to wear the suit, but nobody else could wear a suit. You know, like everyone else has to come in non-suit clothing. His suit would get all messy with poop and mustard and stuff. You're welcome for my sage insight into British politics. I'm definitely outclassing all the other leftist YouTubers on this one. Goodbye.